how's it going? It's That Nerd Ryan here, and today we're reviewing Season 2 of Marvel's What If. I know we're kind of a week late, but it is how it works out. So we're going to cover the 9 episodes. I got them pulled up here to look. We're going to cover them each individually, and then I'll give my whole thoughts on the season. And surprisingly, Season 3 is coming out pretty quick, it looks like. So the first day, we got them released daily between a few days before Christmas and then a day before New Year's Eve. The first one was, what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? So this was a very interesting scenario where like a lot of stuff had to be worked out. So like usually I like the what if episodes where it's like just one simple change. So what I mean by that is like I think the best one example is what if for this season, what if Tony crashed into the Grand Master? That one was what if like literally 1 second difference or 1 meter difference, Tony missed the gate and then ended up falling through to Sakaar. That's a good one. This one takes a lot of setup and has a lot of change already established in it. Basically, Nebula's people and everybody were killed by Ronan. I think Thanos was even killed by Ronan, if I'm correct in this. And Nebula joined the Nova Corps to kind of help stop all that going on with Ronan. And for whatever reason, Nova Prime was in on it with Ronan to get the whole place reset, and she kind of makes her own Guardians of the Galaxy with Korg, who somehow is there, Meep, who somehow is there, Howard the Duck, and I think Groot. Yes, Groot. So it's like very big setup. I like the theme of like, it's kind of like Blade Runner in a sense, but it takes a lot to be removed. Like, there's this whole joke called the Kuehl theory. I highly suggest looking it up, but like basically it's steps removed from the original question. And like the first one is like, okay, you asked me for a burger, I give you a raccoon. And the fourth one's like a whole monologue about many different things. I feel like, so we'll measure it like that. This one was 4 Kuehls of like just steps away from the original content. Like if you, like, best way to put it, Captain Carter, the original Captain Carter would be like that, because it's like, okay, Peggy stayed in a different spot. This one's like this, where it's like, okay, there's so much to move on that, and is a issue with this season, I feel like. So the next one was, what if Peter Quill attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes? So I thought that this was going to be like connected to the what if T'Challa became Star-Lord sort of thing, but it's not. This is its own like thing, and this is another one that's like literally 1 or 2 steps away from the reality of Yondu just had a no change of heart and gave Peter the ego. Peter comes back wanting to kind of be home. And then we get the 80s Avengers, which is the Winter Soldier, which I thought was a cool work in. Wasp, Ant-Man, Goliath, and trying to remember who else. Hope Van Dyne's there, but we also got one other person, and I can't think of who right now. But yeah, we get them set. Oh, Marvel. We get them set up as these new Avengers. They go and try to first stop Peter, then they help Peter and stop Ego, and Peter ends up helping them stop Ego. I thought that was a fun one. I thought it was also a very good one, setting up that, yeah, there was heroes before Iron Man out there, between Iron Man and Cap out there. And it was really cool to see that. So number 3, which was the Christmas Eve episode, is what if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? This one, it's weird. So it was a fun one. It was a good one that calls back a bunch of Christmas movies, especially Die Hard. But it feels like, one, it could have possibly happened in the main MCU, but at the same time, it is another one of those cool, like, far steps away. Because, like, yeah, something like this could have happened. But Happy becoming a Hulk creature, probably not. Which is weird because it gets called back in another episode, which means it's possible that the majority of universes have Happy Hogan turning into a Hulk-like creature, which is kind of strange. But yeah, so it's very... It's a fun Christmas episode. It's one that you could kind of shut your brain off of how does this work. But it was a very fun episode. That's all I gotta say to that one. And that one on Christmas Day was What If Iron Man Crashed into Sakaar. This one was my favorite one. I'm not a big fan of racing episodes, but this one kind of did it right. Just the acting of everybody in it. Jeff Goldblum did a perfect job. Seeing Korg is good. Just the whole setup of, like, Gamora also being there to hunt down Tony would make sense. Thanos seeing a threat would send his best warrior, being Gamora. And then she was always meant to kind of betray Thanos, so it would make sense of her becoming a good guy. So yeah, the whole idea of, like, this being plausible, this is the most plausible one this season, I feel like. Because this really doesn't... We'll get to that at the end, actually. I don't want to get too much into it. But yeah, this one is a true what-if scenario of literally that whole meme of, like, time traveler moves a chair, the timeline. This is like, okay, if Tony was a couple inches closer to throwing that missile, or took too long doing it, this could have happened. That's what I liked about this episode, is that, like, it was that plausible. After that, we had What If Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper. So this was basically the Winter Soldier meets Black Widow in a great way. I mean, obviously Hydra wasn't involved in this. In the scenario, Hydra was never, like, fully brought on due to Captain Carter. But the Hydra Stomper was brainwashed by the Red Room. In a little while, I'm going to have a review out for the Build-A-Figure Hydra Stomper, and I kept complaining that it's smaller than the original. That is how it's done on the show. I reviewed it before the show released. I just want to clear that here. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good scenario. But there is an issue with this and a few other episodes that I will bring up at the end. But I thought everybody casted in this was perfect. And just how it did feel like Winter Soldier but didn't at the same time was great. After that, my computer just closed, is What If Kahori Reshaped the World? This is like a very, very big different scenario, creating an original character. I'm fine with the creation of original character, and I'm fine with them doing a completely crazy scenario as what if Odin lost the Tesseract. And my only issue with it is this is not an episode where you can be having it play in the background. Everything is subtitled in this episode. For you guys that watch my Anime Wednesdays, you know I'm not a big fan of subtitles. That's also why we're not getting a Zom 100 review soon. But it's cool that they did that. It was just hard to, sit down and watch the whole thing and understand what was going on without having to edit videos and stuff like that. But it was still a very well done episode. I think Kahari is mostly a good character. The finale bothered me a little, but we'll get to that when we get to the finale. But I think she was pretty well set up. So after that was What If Hela Found the Ten Rings? This was basically Thor, but switching out Thor with Hela, and I thought this was also a perfect episode. It hit the same beats of Shang-Chi and Thor, and it just set it up really well and followed through on teaching Hela basically the same lesson as Thor. And we even get to see a different side of Odin, who he obviously cared about his daughter, and when he thought she was dead, he almost raised Earth, which Hela came to stop, and that's where she learned her lesson. I like that Odin was technically the villain of this and not Loki, or a Loki-type character. Or even the Mandarin wasn't a villain in this. He was more of a neutral party that ended up being a hero in the end. After that, we had What If the Avengers Assembled in 1602. This was a very fun, storyline. This is not a what if scenario. This is just a entirely different universe, kind of a mystery of why are incursions happening. Peggy's got to figure out why it's happening, which wouldn't her being there also cause incursions. But we get to see 1602 versions of the main Avengers and other characters, which was pretty cool to see. We get to see a Steve Rogers, which ends up being the person that was in the wrong timeline. So we get to see a really sad part with Peggy and Steve separating again. So after that, we get to the finale, which is what if Strange Supreme got involved. And basically what happens is Supreme Strange is the bad guy, as he's kind of always been. It wasn't that big of a shocker. And he's trying to just take people from timelines to reforge his own timeline. And due to him being possessed by all these creatures and stuff, it really warped him. But we get to see Kahori and Peggy Carter become way too overpowered, and that was a big issue that I had, was they really kind of did, I'm fine with characters getting overpowered, but they really did the Lego or toy thing of well, I want my toy to be the strongest, so here's the Infinity Gauntlet, here's the Elder Wand, here's Mjolnir, here's Luke's lightsaber, here's that, here's that, here's that. And it kind of got a little too, goofy and unrealistic on that. But yeah, so the finale was kind of weak. So the season in a whole, I liked What If Season 1 more, because this one did not feel as anthological as the first one. The first one mostly everybody had their own story and came together at the end. What If Season 2 should have been called Peggy Carter with some side stories. Because this obviously focused mostly on Peggy Carter for a third of the entire series. Which, it would be fine if it wasn't an anthological series. But the fact that it's okay, I want to hear more scenarios, which also, these aren't what-if scenarios half the time. They are completely different, removed from Marvel, not really changed a small thing to make a big difference, but changing everything to make a difference, which is something that kind of hurt the series, I think. I'm surprised we're getting Season 3 pretty quick. I don't know when it's supposed to come out, but it did say in the trailer coming soon. So sometime in this year, I almost said 2024, we're in 2024. But yeah, so I'm going to give Season 2 of What If a 6 out of 10. Needs a lot of improvement in my opinion. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and follow me on all my social media down below.